Hi everyone, this video is about imposter syndrome and self-doubt. Now these two things are going to be the biggest hurdle to your career change. You might be thinking, it's the skills, it's the certification, it's the time, it's the luck involved, but no, self-doubt, imposter syndrome are going to be the two nagging things that are going to stop you from jumping into a new career. So I thought I'd put this video together just to share my experiences in changing my career and the self-doubt I faced, and hopefully help you in terms of the journey that you're going through. So I spent a couple of decades in education. Started off as a teacher, became an assistant head teacher, and I really enjoyed the job. But after such a long time doing it, I just felt like the need for a change. It just felt the time was right to make a change. So I started looking to make a change. Now, my background is a bachelor's in computer science, so I started looking into IT and different areas within IT. And ultimately, I found delivery management, which is essentially a project manager type position. I suppose you could best call it. It's a little bit different, but if you're in IT, you'd know the difference. But for general purposes, I'd say project manager. And then wanted to make that change. I suddenly felt that I don't have, what skills do I have? I've worked in schools. So I know all about working in schools. I know about what makes a good classroom. I know how to educate pupils. But is that transferable? Doesn't seem transferable. And as a teacher, and I think in any industry, you're always very inward looking, and you always feel like that sort of you're boxed into within a certain industry, because those are where all your skills are. Your skills are very specific, especially when you're sort of prepping for interviews and so on. You prep specific, industry specific examples. You don't generalize your skills. You're very specific. So you're almost trained to think into industry specific terms, and that is the blocker. And that's what fed into my imposter syndrome and fell into those challenges I had when I wanted to make a change. That I'm very focused on education. I'm very educational skills based. How can I apply for this job, which has nothing to do with education? And then I went through a process, which I'm going to hopefully guide you through. And as a coach, I can help guide you through one-to-one as well. I went through a process where I discovered my transferable skills, so things like leadership, problem solving, communication, etc. And then I was able to understand that my skills were applicable to beyond just my industry. I used a few tools, online tools, to help me in terms of getting information from delivery jobs and distilling it to a set of skills, and then looking at my skills and comparing the two and matching the two, and then also in terms of developing my practice for my interviews. It's just linking those two together to make sure that I could link skills from my industry, education, to the industry I was applying for, which is delivery management or project management. So let me guide you briefly through what that process was. The first step is to take stock of your accomplishments, because the accomplishments are going to be linked to the skills that you have. Take stock of your accomplishments and what are the skills that allowed you to achieve what you've achieved in the industry that you're in. And then look at those accomplishments, look at those skills that you use, and abstract them out a little bit more. So then they are a bit more general and you're able to apply them into other roles. So that's the first step, where you're looking at your accomplishments and figuring out what skills got you to those accomplishments, allowed you to make those accomplishments. And then from then, the next step is to look at those skills and how they relate to the career that you're wanting to progress towards. And the key thing throughout all this is to focus on what you have. What are your skills? Don't focus on what you don't have, okay? Focus on what you have. There are some statistics that show that some people are more likely to apply for jobs than others, and the reason why some people don't apply for those jobs is because they look through the list of criteria of things they have and think, I don't have every single one of these, so I'm not going to apply for this job. Other people will look at that list and say, I've got most of those, I'm going to apply anyway. Who do you think is more likely to get the job? Right? It's that person who applies anyway because they've got the majority. Because a lot of times employers are looking for a lot of those skills, but they're also looking at you, at the person. What do you bring to the table? And in your years of industry experience in a different industry, you're bringing a lot to the table, and you might, again, you don't recognize that yourself, but employers will recognize that. And in order to get confident for that first interview, you want to try to apply some of the things that you want to be doing in your new career, in your current career. Now, for me, I was able to do that in a fairly straightforward way. So I ran projects for my sixth formers in school, and I ran them using an agile manner. And agile is, for those of you who don't know, is the way of working within most industries these days. So I knew that if I was to get a job as a delivery manager in any industry, I would be more than likely using Agile. So I applied the Agile principles to delivering my education to the sixth formers. And there might be other people in education watching this thinking, how could I do that? Well, it worked really effectively, and I'll explain how I did that in a different video. And I was able to showcase my Agile skills within my current career. So when I went for the interview, I was able to talk about it. I was able to talk about how I did that, and the employers, the interview panel really picked up on the skills, the initiative that I'd showed, and the skills that I had, and that alongside my other transferable skills. Obviously, being an assistant head teacher, you have a lot of skills in terms of working under pressure, being able to deal with stakeholders, communication, all that sort of stuff. So that combined with the fresh perspective that I was bringing from a different industry really made me a good candidate for this job that I eventually got. So one of the things that I would recommend just to keep in mind on day to day, I'd probably say, think about your inner critic, and your inner critic can be harsh sometimes, and sometimes we're harsher to ourselves than we are to other people. So think about your inner critic. And when you hear something, when you hear your mind say something, just step back for a second and think, is this based on fact or is this just speculation? And you'll find that 99% of the time it's just speculation. It's just your mind throwing up things, throwing up that doubt. So get used to reflecting on those little thoughts, because there's those little thoughts that will break you down. So get used to reflecting on those little thoughts, smoothing them over, dismissing them, understanding steps forward. And then next is something that I could probably be better at myself, is celebrating those small wins. I was always looking for the next step. Okay, I've done this, now I need to do this, now I need to do this. I was always looking for the next step. What I realized though is that you have to celebrate each of those mini steps, because otherwise you'll never get to celebrate. So I've been in my new role now for 2 years, and I'm looking to move on to a more senior role. So even though I'm in my new career, I've still got another step to go. And then when I get that senior role, presumably I'll have another step to go. So unless you're constantly celebrating those small or large wins, then you'll always be on the path to sort of, I'm almost there. So it's important to step back. And this is probably important in life as well as just in your professional life, is to learn to step back, learn to appreciate the small wins and celebrate those small wins. Finally, it's having a good support system. Okay, so sometimes you're going to feel down, sometimes you're going to want to give up, but you want to have a good support system so that you can continue to push even on days when you're, feeling a bit rubbish. Sort of like having a training partner, I suppose, in the gym. So to sum up, really, you can reframe this whole thing, and you can think, like, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is it's just you stepping out of your comfort zone. And any time you step out of your comfort zone, you're going to have doubts. And those self-doubts, that feeling of being an imposter, that is just a result of you stepping out of your comfort zone. And stepping out of your comfort zone is always important to do. You should be constantly striving to step out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you grow. When you try to change careers, you have that's a massive amount of growth, and so obviously you're going to have imposter syndrome. So just consider it a side effect of you stepping out and developing yourself further. And like I said, it's tough, but it's definitely doable. And like I said, I'm a coach, a career change coach, and I can work with you in order to help develop your understanding of yourself and of your needs a little bit better, and work together to provide that support in order for you to make that career change. Right, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. Be sure to subscribe and like the channel, and add a comment if you have any questions about career changes, and definitely get in touch if you're looking to be coached for a career change or general life coaching. Right, thanks everyone. Speak to you next time.